Beer. Actually, it's iced tea. We're just like you. This is one of the steamiest, humidest, warmest summers we've had in a long time. So we retreated into our den where it's supposed to be cool, subground, nice, and we're sweating down here. But man, I love to get together with you folks, and I just have so much I want to share. We're sort of ending up our late spring, early summer field season. Occasionally you'll have a few fields here and there. Some are being planted with cover crops, but for the most part, we're done here in northern and north central and east central Ohio. Gonna just wait until fall. So what I thought I'd do, because I love this stuff and I want to share with you, is just bring some things forward that stuck out in my mind this past spring season and share them with you. So the first thing is a lot of you, and I just can't keep up with all the requests and the thing of Geauga County, Ohio, who wants to get together, and I would love to get together with you guys, but I can't get together with 20, 30, 40 people. It just won't work. But what we can do is there's a state Archaeological Society of Ohio meeting coming up real quick, and I wrote it down. It's on August 3rd at the Knox Community Center in Mount Vernon, Ohio. August 3 and at 9 to 2, and if you come down there, I'm in the back left when you go inside there near the silent auction. So come, bring your questions, and we'll we'll see what we can do with all your conundrums. Plus, I want to meet you, and I'm just real grateful. So I have 6 items that are of concern to me that I want to talk about today, and I jotted them down. I tried to lay them out as such, but these are the 3 things that just seem to come forward at the end of the season. I think that review is good. I think it's especially good the closer you are to the action. Okay, now we've just done this. We've been out there. Now let's just take a second look at all that. So basically keeping your collection safe. And then storage, field equipment, tabletop rocks, overshots, and FCRs. Those are the 6 things that I really felt I needed to get back, revisit, and share with you today. So we're going to do that. And I'm going to start with kind of the safety, security of your collection. And I've drug these puppies out on so many occasions. But you know what? They only work if you use them. And there are all kinds of items that you can use to be safe when you're handling your collection. These happen to be drawer liners. You can get these at Walmart, True Value Hardware. They're pretty common, but right where you're working with your artifacts, unless you have a good tablecloth or something that will help put the brakes on if something falls, lay them out, use them. And then, you know what? There is discontinued carpet at any carpet store. There's carpet that's in squares. There's big segments of carpets. And I can't encourage you enough to get that on the floor wherever your collections are, especially if you have these cabinets that are stacked on top of one another. So that if something drops or falls, you've got a safety blanket. And I'm just reminded of a friend of mine down in East Central who had a gorgeous full-grooved axe, a museum piece, beautiful. And he did everything. He had the right stuff on the shelves, and he had a piece of carpet on the floor. But accidents are accidents. He pulled it out to show someone. It slipped out of his hand. He went to grab it, and he slapped it and knocked it, unbelievable, through the air into the other room with cement. And it broke it into several pieces. And so what went from a museum piece now is whatever somebody will give him for it. But don't let that happen to you. So take the proper precautions. If you have a large carpet, you can roll it up if you want after you're done working with your artifacts, but take the time to take care of what you've got. And believe me, you'll be so grateful for that. Storage, that is another item that is of concern to me. A lot of you, years ago, I used to use this size Riker frame, and this is probably pretty much the largest. It's not the thickest. You can get a much thicker. I do not recommend these. I know people like to do it. This is a cash collection, and I just don't recommend it. A lot of people tend to pick them up this way, and they're just not dynamically made to handle any weight and to hold the frame this way. If you don't do it, someone else will. And they're going to weaken right here and they're going to break. And you spent a ton of money on a frame that you could have avoided had you gotten a more practical size. And I encourage you to look at the 8x12 as a practical size. You can hold it, it's brutal, you can in and out your shelves, and it takes a beating and it keeps on ticking. It's a good frame. And then I've run into a few other problems with my collection and your collection. And I want to start with this one. Have you ever heard of a punctate? A punctate? These are what we call punctates on this piece of slate. And it's just, you don't find them in this part of Ohio. And if you do, they're very highly unusual. My daughter was 8 years old when she picked this piece up. But if you look and notice, you'll see cracks in it. And I will be begging my videographer to use Elmer's glue and glue this back together. You know how that happened? The lid was on this, and I was driving and showing this frame to people, and everything inside was jiggling, jiggling, jiggling. And over time, the fractures occurred and it broke. Now you can avoid that by not dragging it all over the place, but you like to show your stuff. And so what I encourage you to do is just by quilt batting. In my area, Joann Fabric, Hobby Lobby, you can get this stuff. You can get various thicknesses, and you can cut it to fit your frames. And you can overcome this bouncing and wiggling by just thickening it up and putting it on so it's tight. When the lid goes on, it is tight, and you don't have to worry about it. So batting, you want some extra batting. And finally, the other thing you can do, which I have done, and people laugh at me, but I like to hold my stuff up, and in my cabinets, a lot of times I'll set my frame up like this so you can see some of my field grates. And if you take a little bit of masking tape, pull it off, roll it back on itself, stick it to the back of the artifact, put it in the frame, then when you tip it up like that, it's stuck and it's not going to slide down. Plus, you're going to use more batting. So you've got a double safety check there on it. And that works really, really well. So anyway, my daughter, 8 years old, found this. She's 47 now. And punctate, new word, put it in your archaeology vocabulary, your list, remember it. And that's what they look like. They are so cool. And I don't think anybody really has a handle on why they're there or what they're for. This also has a lot of carvings in that piece of slate as well. So your frames can be big. I recommend going middle, and they can be small. And I like small with small artifacts. These are all micro tools. And this is one that, you're done with your field walking. It's time to wash stuff up, relax, take your time and go through slowly. You're looking at a uniface, a little tiny uniface flake knife or blade. If we flip them over, you're going to see the retouch, either as little end scrapers or little blades that have been resharpened all along their sides. But these are seriously small, and they can be smaller. I just randomly chose an inch or smaller to call them micro tools, but we're looking at a micro frame. They make these even smaller. I just want you to be practical and not blow all your money. Usually your big archaeology shows, every state has archaeology shows. You can buy them at your shows. Check it out. So hopefully these will be really helpful for you. Now, here's an example of something else that you might run into. This is a frame. It's got a crack in it. And it's not because I dropped something on it. And it's not because it was an air-conditioned house and I went out in the 100-degree heat. This was loose material. It was not batted tightly in the frame. And when you're in the car, it bounces up and down. And that bouncing cracked the frame. And it's really frustrating. You get more frames and relocate stuff. That could have been eliminated had I put more batting and tightened it up. So I'm taking my faux pas and I'm making your triumph out of it. Okay. So I want to slip over to field equipment. I've seen a lot of you out in the field, talked to some friends out in the field, and, and my friend, I'm not making fun of you, Mark, but a dear friend of mine up on Lake Erie said, "Hey, you're bending over too much in the field. You're going to get too tired before you're done." So he said, "I made an extra one of these for you." So what? It looks like a massive back scratcher to me. I don't know what it is, but Mark, I love you, brother. And I did try it. The problem is all the time it takes to scoop it and then hand over hand bring it up and get your artifact. And so you have golf clubs without the golf club on the end. You have dandelion diggers, and I keep going back to this, and I I think if I show it enough, it's going to be in your brain, front and center. Um, I can't even start to tell you how many times I've laid these down in fields this year. And if it weren't for my fluorescent paint on these, I'd have never found them. And what I do oftentimes when I'm walking, I'm pretty systematic. But if I see something 3 or 4 rows out, I may just break off my row, go over there and pick it up. Maybe it's on the side of dirt and I won't see it when I'm coming through. So then I like, oh, where was I? And I can find my thing really quickly. So I like this, but your target zone actually is right around 3 feet from the ground and closer. That's when you can really see what's going on down there. And the more distance you have between you and the ground, now you're no longer seeing the micro tools or the blades that are on their sides. You're seeing the bigger pieces, which is fine, but you're also passing over a lot of stuff. So I'm going to continue to promote the all steel trowel because you can file it and get a great edge on it, and it just works really well. Field collecting. You know what? You want to. I know that you're all smart and you all have great memories. I'm losing mine. I carry a lot of Ziplocs with me when I'm in the field. I use freezer because the other ones are thin, and flint is like a razor blade, and you can bump your leg, cut a hole, lose your stuff. So I use freezers, Ziplocs, and then I have a Sharpie ink pen, and I put the site number on it. You want to do this immediately because you can get distracted, get in another field and forget who went where. That. When I'm walking, I usually keep an extra bag with me so I don't put all my good stuff in with all the broken stuff or all the debitage that I pick up, because you can further break stuff in this bag. So I carry a much smaller bag with me, and I put my better artifacts or whole pieces in a little bag, and this goes in my front pocket. This one goes in my 5-gallon bucket. Man, I'm just trying to make heroes out of all you people out there so that you have more success and you come out of the field with a lot more fun, at least the more whole pieces. Okay, I wanted to talk about FCRs. A lot of you have been saying, how do I find fire pits? Or, so what? FCRs, what do I do with those? What does it mean? Well, you're trying to find the apex, the main grand central station activity area out in your field, on your sites. And when you begin to find FCRs, and I brought a couple in just to show you real quick. I've had some in here before. I'll put them up here so my videographer can zoom in. And this one has some oxidation on it. Okay, you're trying to lock this in your head. FCRs, fire cracked rocks that are just blown apart and broke up in a fire pit. I'm showing you the cortex, the outer portion of the rocks, right here, outer portion of the rock, and some more. Sometimes you'll find quartz that has just been shattered in a fire pit. Just the outer portion of a hard, almost an igneous type rock, shattered in a fire pit. Another igneous type rock, shattered in a fire pit. Now, add to this these, and these, it's just a rough example of flint that has also been in a fire pit. And the point is, I want you to find your fire pits. And as you start finding more FCRs, as you start finding more flint that's been in a fire, you'll be able to start targeting where your actual fire pit was. Now, flint, you can have artifacts that have been in the fire pit, but you can have chips or flakes. These little divots, I call almost like Swiss cheese divots. Like here's one, I'm going to come over here. This one is full of them all around here like this. I'm going to go this way now. And down here you can see a few divots, little pops in these things. That's pretty characteristic of flint that's been in a fire. When you find flakes or chips like that, make a mental note. Here's another big one up here. It's like moonscape, okay? And then we have flint that's been heavily oxidized in a fire. And then we have flint that's just been cooked beyond cooking, where it's actually beginning to char a little bit. But it's all important, because if you can nail down your fire pits, that's where you really want to hunt hard. You may want to go one direction, turn around, hunt it again, go in the other direction, crisscross it, like you're playing X and O's, back and forth, up and down. Those are the places you want to cover very, very, very well. So FCRs, fire-cracked rock, and FCFs, fire-cracked flint, or flint that's been like moonscaped, is really important for your success. Coming back this way, I see something that I forgot to tell you, and I've worked with quite a few people in my area this way. We have our frame, and we're going to put stuff in it. And I look at their frames, and I'm like, whoa, you got this upside down. If I put this piece, I want you to see these. I'll try to get them here. Can you see how these are humped a little bit? That's humped up a little bit. This one is humped up a little bit. So when I place them in my frame, I don't want the glass hitting this. I want the glass on the flat surface. I don't want the glass hitting the cone of percussion on this one. I'm going to put them in this way, so the glass is hitting the flat part. So when you put these in your frames, put the bump or the hump or the ridge or the arris, put them down. Here's a blade, came off a really great paleo site. Look at the arris on this puppy. If I put him in my frame like this, the glass is going to just keep hitting this and hitting this. If I turn him over, put this in the batting, this end up like that, I've got my blade, I know what I've got, and I'm not going to break my frame. I was washing up some flint this morning out of this late spring, early summer field, and I've got a blade, cone of percussion up here, and this has been beautifully worked all the way around like that. Now, if I put him in my frame, interesting, he's very flat, so I can put him in either direction. But if I put him this one flat like that, he may just slide and work his way down. Remember I mentioned masking tape? You roll up a little bit of masking tape, put it on whichever side you want, push it down on the batting, and when you lift it and move it around, it's not going to slide on you. I had mentioned a couple other things. I don't want you to lose sight of it. And that was the idea of an overshot. And I introduced that a while back. But now you're going through your material, and these just were picked up this past week. We're looking at overshots. And again, I'm recalling it a different name. There's a technical academic word for it. Forget it. We outnumber the academics. Let's work with what works with us. This is simply an overshot. The energy went through and rounded out. So what you have is a uniface piece with a lip. A uniface piece with a lip. Okay, now let me show you this. I hope, can you zoom in? A uniface piece with a lip right there. Hope you can see that real well. A uniface piece, and this guy has just a tiny bit of lip right there. Right there. All three of these, the lateral corners have been modified, broken, and reworked. On this one, this lateral corner has been broken and reworked. This one is broken and just barely reworked. On this Overshot, my two lateral corners are now rounded off and even becoming concave a little bit from all the use they've received. This lip on this Overshot creates almost an indestructible edge. And what you're going to find, and I challenge you to look through your stuff, most everything that you have that has an Overshot, the lateral corners are going to be broken off from use, or they're going to be reworked, broken off from use, reworked. They should be straight. They're not, just reworked. And the big surprise 2 days ago was walking along the edge of the field and finding a concavity. We don't know, and I know everybody keeps asking, what are they? What are they? I can tell you this. I find them close to activity centers. I find them on not necessarily commonly, but I find them often on village sites. And this one is a little bit unusual. It's the only one that I have. It's got a ring inside a ring like that. And I was looking at that with my hand lens, and it almost looks like they took a perforator and they cleaned out some of the inner part, because you can see where it was poked and reamed a little bit to create this lip. The bottom part of it has been intentionally smoothed out like that. Again, would you have picked that up? This is really an important question. Would you have picked this up? And it's learning what things look like: color, shape, size, texture. On a village site, anything goes. You just got to be free. You got to pick stuff up. You got to look at it. Oh man, it's like a newborn baby. You can't hold it enough. You can't kiss it enough. You can't play with the fingers and the toes enough. I love this stuff, and I know that you do too, and that's why you're watching Field Archaeology. Let's take a closing look at these guys. And we're doing this on purpose because these were just very, very recently picked up. I try really hard to get some kind of a measuring device, so you have something that shows you the relative size of these. And I want to call to attention that the material, we have all kinds of material here. We have hardcore granite to very refined sandstone to very coarse sandstone, probably the coarsest sandstone there is in Ohio. We are looking at tabletop rocks. And I got a little bit testy here on my last video, and I said, people, we're going to call them this. If you're on the east side of the Mississippi, tabletops. If you're out west, they're called netherstones. Netherstone doesn't tell me anything. If I hear tabletop, I know that we have something that was used as a table and it's set on top of something. And so we're looking at tools that they were doing work on top of it. Now, occasionally you're going to run into something like this. This is the right color, and pretty much it's the right material, but it's the right color, the right material. So I thought, well, I'll pick him up. And notice the semi-oxidation in here. I'm going to flip him. Whoa, look at that. And a concavity right here in the middle. Okay. Now this could have been used actually two ways. It could have been used on something, or something could have been used on it. So I'm still putting him in the tabletop category because we're clueless what they use these for. This field that I just finished up in, tabletops could be any shapes. And I picked this one up because of it was dirty, but I saw the square shape. But the square shape has nothing to do with this particular tool. It is a tabletop. It does have a slight concavity right there, right in the middle. And the color resembles what we call concretions here in Ohio. The other side, a slight concavity right in there. And a little bit of pounding like a hammerstone going on here. And it's really not that uncommon, a little bit of hammerstone, to find that some of these were used as hammers. These two, I'm going to put these over here for a minute, come back over here. What has been of interest to me is that on my super village sites, or my multi-component, my multicultural village sites, sandstone almost always, I pull it out And here's just a great example of a tabletop. Now visualize yourself out in the field. You've got work to do, from processing hides, working on tapestries, cutting meat, whatever. You need a surface to work on. And you can, if you have to, you can lay a hide or something on it. But you got to have a table. You put on your lap, you can sit by a stream, you can go wherever you want, take your tabletop with you. This is so important. Lock this word in your brain: context, context, context. This does not belong on a second stage or a second floodplain. Doesn't belong there. And the closest hills where this come from are about a half a mile away. This was brought in. Okay, so context is going to help you nail down some of your tabletops. The gal that I had mentioned to you, Jen, who wrote the book on Southwest United States tools and tool analysis, who says, you know what? We just use nether stones to cover a lot of territory. If they don't look like a mano, or something like that, and we'll just call them nether stones. Well, so she just throws them into a category and made a statement. You're going to have to call the shots yourself. This is such a new area and so undefined. And when you look at your friends' collections, and when you look at field collections of your buddies, out of 10 guys, maybe one will have tabletops in his collection. Cupstones or pitted stones, cupstones, also fall into the category of a tabletop rock. Okay, nice little cupstone. I believe. Yep, it's even got one on the other side. Coarse sandstone. This one I picked up a couple days ago on my way out of this field. I was just checking it out, see if the field might even be walkable. It's got a slight concavity. I can feel it right here. When you look at it with your hand lens, you can see levels of polish. This is baby bottom smooth right in the middle. Flip him over. It's got a big concavity, a little bit smoother here than it is out here. Remember, she said you're going to have to call the shots yourself because these are really undefined. And these are not like a notch point that there's no question in your mind, oh, it's a notch point. Tabletops are wide-ranging, made of all kinds of material. As you can see, literally every thickness. And I always laugh and say, prayerfully, you never find these in the back of your field. You find on the car side of your field. But again, concavities in it, more rounded on one side, flat with some concavities on the other. Just because this is a brand new term, you're going to stumble over this. You're going to drag things home. You're going to think, oh, I don't know what it is. You got to use context. Does that belong there? Is that a mineral that you've seen before all over the field or just in one area? Is it an exotic? Does it come from a ridge? Does it come out of county or out of state? And then look at the shape on this thing and visualize, could I use this for some of the prehistoric work that might have been going on? All this does is add more depth to your field collecting. It gives you a better profile, a better picture of some of the activities that might have been going on out there on the site. Some of these guys, this is iffy right here. But it simply did not belong in a second stage floodplain. It didn't. Very, very slight concavity right here. Not in the middle, but right here, very slight. Flip them over, wonderfully rounded on this side. Hard stone. Is this a tabletop? You tell me. So from having a petunia garden full of flint debitage, you're going to have a rock pile that they'll see it from the space shuttle. But this is part of field collecting. And this is the value of getting a consensus or group of people together once a month or every other week, or an archaeology group or chapter, an association, and get a feel for it. What are you finding on your sites? And then you're going to see the commonality of this coming off of village areas. And you're going to eventually say, well, yeah, okay, but it's so undefined. Well, it is. It is. In my area, when I find sandstone where it doesn't belong, it's under suspicion immediately. So it's pulled out and I look them over. Sometimes they'll be very obvious with a hand lens. You'll see things that say this feather belonged to a goose, and you'll know what you got. But more times than not, it's pretty subjective, and context. Does it belong there? And is it material that I'm finding in this field? You got to keep using that word. That's like a colander. We'll call that colander context. And if everything falls through it, whatever left behind has a story to tell you. Finally, I thought I'd just kind of close with these two, because these actually initially got pitched out, but they came out of this field, and I thought, you know what? This is such a rich field, 120 acres, just full of village sites. I'm going to take a second look. It's the right color, it's the right material, and it's pretty much the right shape. And you know what? When you get a hand lens, you can see where they just polished and polished and polished this, and it is obviously an artifact. Do we know what? No, I don't. Maybe some of you do, and I'd love to hear your ideas. And then this guy was laying like this in the field, and I thought, oh, I got a plow hit. But I said, it's the right size and the right material. So I threw him in my 5-gallon bucket, and it's hard to carry these puppies out of a field in a Ziploc bag, but if you got a 5-gallon bucket, you can throw these things in it. Got home, washed them up, and wow, you can see where this whole end has been altered. This is a hammerstone. Looking him over, some alterations right here. Hammerstone, plow hit. We looked at a lot of stuff, but basically I'm going to repeat these to you, and I'm going to use my cheat sheet. There's 6 things that I wanted to, as we get on the tail end of our walking season. Some of you in your areas, they're going to be putting cover crops out there, so you still have a wish and a hope to get out there. But we looked at pretty much a collection safety. This troubles me because I have so many friends that have broken material that someone else broke, or they just were careless and they didn't have the right mats down, the right rugs, the carpets. Where we're at in a room right now, we have a carpet, but there's cement all the way around the edge. Probably not a safe place to be looking at safe, beautiful, wonderful artifacts. Maybe a different place in the house where it's all carpeting. Storage. Consider how you're going to store it and get it snugged in the frame. Get it snugged in the frame. Field equipment, I'm not kidding you when I say use a trowel. I want you close to the ground. If you're my age, you can do it. I'm just going to say I'm getting older. But I use it. It's healthy. It stretches my muscles. And I find way more using my trowel than I use using my buddy's, stick. But use what works. When we were cruising around on the table, we cruised right over 2 books. And I will continue to say this till I'm blue in the face. And these can be birthday presents, Christmas presents, a present to yourself. But please, please get these 2 in your library. The lithics is so similar for pretty much the whole eastern part of the United States. And I know I have friends up in Canada that just love the Flint book. They said, our stuff is very similar and it's very helpful. 2 things you can give people as a gift or recommend they get you as a gift. And finally, I just want to encourage you to look into our archaeological society. It's growing, it's getting bigger. I've got a couple things to show you. I'll grab them real quick. It's because I want you to have helpful material. If you want me to, I can mail you the application that's got information on how to get the books. I can do that. Or you can just order these for many years' time, come out, and they are absolutely loaded with articles, pictures, field walkers. Not a whole lot of academics in here. Most of these people are field walkers. And it's nice to see what's still being picked up. But it's nice to see what's in collections that was picked up 40, 50, 80, 100 years ago. Just some wonderful material for you to explore. These are great rainy day, great winter day journals, 4 of them a year. Here's the application. I'll be glad to mail you one. And I am very grateful. I wish that all of you were inside where it was air conditioned and we could talk a little bit more about these 6 things, but I felt that it was really worthwhile. I think that these are good reminders to just grab onto as you get ready for maybe fall plow. All right. Thanks for coming along. And I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.